Go over here. This is nuts. There we go. Starting moments. All right. Should be good. Let's just wait a moment for her to let us know that we are good. All right, good to go. Good to go. Well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode in our Pages to Pages debut authors share their journey. This is episode 10. We are back. It's been a while. We've had some few setbacks, but nothing major. Just a couple of things going on. But we are back. And tonight we have with us a real wonderful treat. This is Jeremiah Huggins, 17 years
Hello.
old, senior high school, Chantilly high school student, all Chantilly alumni. Shout out to all the Chantilly alumni. I went to Centerville. You all were our rivals back then, but now there's high schools in the mix of things. The Sully Bowl used to consist of Chantilly High School and Centerville High School. Shout out to the Wildcats out there. But anyways, as I said, we're back. Jeremiah here has given us a jewel. He has written a novel series, the first of his novel series in the genre of Greek mythology, fiction, fantasy. It is called The Chains of Olympus, Curse of Apollyon. Is that the correct way to pronounce it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. Jeremiah Huggins. Proud to announce you, young brother. Say hello to everybody, and we'll get into it in just a little bit. All right. Well, first of all, I want to tell you that I had to put off our date because I wanted to take some time to really read this piece that you have written here. And
hmm
before we get into all the great details, we're going to, of course, get a little bit about your background and talk about, you and how you got to this. Because I got to tell you all that once you all see the text in this novel series that he's written, you would not believe that there's a young man, 17 years old, young black man behind these words. It's put together so well. So before we get into all of that, tell us a little bit about yourself and what led you to start writing.
Well, so my name obviously is Jeremiah Huggins, and I am a student at Chantilly High School. And my story to my writing journey is kind of a little bit more, how I say this. It's not like any other writing story. So I first began my passion for writing all the way back in first grade. I was a very quiet kid, and my first grade teacher, who to this day is my favorite teacher, um, he wanted me to interact and express myself with the other kids. So, and he was such a good teacher. He used every way possible to get me to express myself. And when nothing worked, when it was like talking in groups or activities or anything, I did not want to speak to no one. So the only way he thought, or the last resort he used, was to write how I felt. So I started writing how I felt. I started writing and writing out scenes, and I would write stories of times of my experiences in life, or just make up stories about dragons, monsters, and all that when I was younger. However, I never saw myself be a writer though in the future. For a long time, I was more obsessed with dinosaurs, and I wanted to go the way of paleontology in that aspect. And it was something it seemed certain for my future. I had an extreme love for dinosaurs, extreme. However, everything changed when I turned 12 when my sixth grade teacher wanted us to move away from the aspects of just regular books we were reading and more of the nonfiction side, not fiction. So she actually had me pick up a book in the library to find something. I had 5 minutes left before we had to get in line. So I was looking around, I saw a book, and I remember I think it was titled Greek Myths and Tales. It was by Heather Dakota. So her book was my inspiration. Heather
Heather
Dakota was
Dakota.
Heather Dakota. If I had not read the works of either Dakota, I probably wouldn't have been in this writing journey today. And after I read her book, retelling the tales of Greek mythology, I was astounded. I was, I was impressed. I was extremely impressed. I said to myself, I want to write stories like these one day. I love this. Reading the tales of Oedipus, a man who was in love with um, a spirit and lost her and traveled to the underworld to get her back. A beautiful love story. Or Hercules, a story of hard work and redemption. How he lost everything, was driven mad by a by his father's wife, who did everything to ruin his life, but he still persisted through anything she threw his way. He kept going, and he faced the trials and tribulations, or even the tragic story of um, the story of I'm trying to remember how to pronounce his name. Or no, the Trojan War. The Trojan War was my second most favorite story in all of Greek mythology. A long tail war of heroes, and this was marked the age of heroes, the last age of heroes. So after reading the Trojan War and reading other multiple Greek mythology texts, grasping a very strong hold on not only Greek mythology but on Roman, Chinese, African, Indian, Native American, Celtic, Norse, I said to myself, an Egyptian, I said to myself, I'm gonna write my own story about a hero one day. And at first, I started using the characters in Greek mythology to create a new story. And the first idea actually was going in the direction of Hercules, Theseus, and Perseus all team up to save the world or something. But I said to myself, I need to be original. I need to make my own character that makes my writing stand out and really makes the story really made by me. I don't need to be limited to what I already know in Greek mythology into their world. I need to expand on it. And that is something I'm big on. I don't love writing. I don't love world building to the point where you're limited on what you can or can't do. The world building should be vast. If it's in fiction, it should go out of the limits. It should be something that you can expand on no matter what. So it took me a few months to develop the name of my main character until I came up with the name Samuel Hayes, and it came to me one day. So I said to myself, what is Samuel gonna be? Who is he? What is he gonna do? Where is he gonna fit in all Greek mythology? What timeline? What is he doing? What's his goal? What's his interest? What are his dreams and aspirations? Who's gonna help him? Who's his enemy? And it took me 3 years to plan that out. And I created 7 drafts of Chains of Olympus, and only one was successful. And this one that was successful, the one I published today, actually. Um,
Wow.
it took me a long time to get more inspiration. I also read works of Rick Gordon. I actually had the entire Heroes of Olympus series right here in front of me on my shelf. I also studied the works of others, including Shakespeare, which is Macbeth. Macbeth, I took a massive inspiration from the idea of corruption, the idea of destroying a character and building him back up. I also studied the works of John Gardner's Grendel. Um, I There was a decent amount I studied, but mainly more something. I mostly studied text in the Greek aspect or in the way of Greek mythology, and I also decided to blend ideas from film I'd watch of the Marvel and DC universes with the heroes, and some of my own shows I'd watch like Vinland Saga, Attack on Titan. When I got a hold of Vinland Saga and Attack on Titan, when I watched them for the first time, that built my strength onto how I should make my characters, and not just focus on ideals, but focus on the depths of the character. And I was able, in my opinion, to blend that together with Chains of Olympus for the rest of the series. Even in the first book, of blending where some of the ideals of the characters are revealed, but at the same time, it also shows um, the change in character
Hmm.
of all the main characters. The main character himself, the Deuterogon, Deut- what is it called? Deuteragonist. I think that's what it's called. It's called the secondary character.
The secondary
Yes.
protagonist. Yes.
The even the antagonists, they not only really just go do some character change, but we get an aspect into their ideals, how they feel, what makes them,
And
do
why they
different.
even got to be that way.
Yeah,
Now,
and
with the
I
character,
humanize them.
with so that's what I was going to ask you next in reference to Samuel, knowing that you developed this original character that you made your own. You didn't
Mhm.
mimic another because he's not like, you can put Samuel in there, but Samuel stands apart from all of the other
Mhm.
traditional gods and demigods that we've all been, your regular
Yes.
Poseidon, Zeus, all of those things. But do you see yourself? Have you found yourself, or did you place yourself in the character of Samuel at all? Whether it be some of the aspects that are physically seen in you, or like the side that you don't show.
Give me 1 second. Uh, I'm doing the I'm doing the interview with Libby. Yeah, I'm doing the live thing with Libby. Okay. Also, my grandmother said hello, Libby.
Auntie, love you.
He said hi, love you. Thank you. Thank you so much. She said congratulations to both of us on our birth.
Well, great, great.
So, can you say that again, please?
Yes, I sure can. With the character Samuel, since we know and you've described that you, based off of your research and your views and books and different things with your passion for Greek mythology, you decided to create an original character and make him stand apart. Um,
Hmm.
and based off of my reading, he definitely stands apart from your traditional Greek gods that we've all seen in the movies, we've read in books. Did you, by chance, create Samuel with any aspects of yourself placed into the
Well, actually, Samuel is a complete reflection of me, but as in a reflection of all my problems and my conflicts. See, Chains of Olympus was more of an escape from all the conflicts and uh, bad stuff happening in my life. So I reflected it in a character I could express that through and how he overcame it. And as I helped and saw how Samuel overcame those same problems and obstacles, it helped me beat my and get over my own obstacles. So,
like a story
um,
of triumph? Basically, you still are on
mhm,
a. It's still a life, basically, a
yeah,
journey through life. Where we have our in your world, we will have our battles. You know,
hmm,
and in your
exactly,
world, which is also, just like you said, Samuel's a reflection, a complete reflection of you in your world. Our world unrealistically in another realm is also our reality in this one. So it sounds to me that based off of those triumphs where Samuel has overcome and these other gods, it also helped you to overcome and triumph some of your chaos in this. And yes, we're going to continue as long as we live to have battles. But to know that we all have the innate superpowers that are necessary to harness to overcome them, whether it's in our imagination, which we then in turn make our reality. We apply those. One of the things that was stated in here are that a lot of the characters and the different things that are going on in the book, these things and lessons can be applied in real life today, which is almost, so to speak, on what we're talking about. How you can still apply these I don't know, actions, these thoughts, these ways to our everyday life and struggles to be able to overcome and to see it through. So I think that that's very important. And for someone of your age to recognize that there is trauma, there is hardship in life, but we're still living it. Someone of
yeah,
your age to not necessarily, especially, and this is not about race, but I have to keep saying, young Black man to not succumb to the woes of life, to
yeah,
find a way to get through. A lot of our, a lot of our culture, we see this big shiny thing. But the way to that big shiny thing is so chaotic that we end up surrendering to the illusions of the chaos. When the gift of life is really not supposed to be the illusion of the chaos, it's to find the blessing in everything. So to me, at your age, it sounds that you found that at a very early age in life, found a way to be able to cope, and not just to cope, but to be able to have some peace in this life while you're existing in it and while the battles are coming. You've picked up your superpowers and learn how to navigate through those things. And I think that that's very admirable for someone of your age. And again, not just a black man, but a young 17-year-old, period. There's a lot more distractions for you all than it was for us. You
Yes.
know, and there's a couple of comments. Love how you studied the various Greek mythologies in your book writing process. Absolutely. Very original because you're able to create your own exactly. And I think that what she's saying that you are able to create your own genuine characters after studying well-known Greek mythology characters. And I think that that's extremely important that you did that too, because so many of us need to find the superhero in ourselves, and we have it. And what you've
Exactly.
done was not mimic another, you've created one based off of your own. And it encourages other people, young, old, in between, to be able to invoke that superhero that we all have within ourselves. I'm very excited, as you can see, because I'm still blown away by the way that this is well put together from
Thank
someone
you.
of your age. I would have, first of all, like we said off of camera, I've never really read Greek mythology books. It wasn't really, I watch stuff like the Avengers and things like that when it comes on, but it was just
Mhm.
never something that I, wasn't something that ever attracted me. Now I am. Like you, I really, I'm very engaged with this. And his character represent, yes,
Thank you.
represents a
Thank you.
wonderful job. Now,
Thank you, Miss Light. Thank you.
now that we know, like, your inspirations, and you were mentioning some of the, different things that some of those names that you spit out are not a typical 17-year-old, again, black man's list of things. You talked about Shakespeare. You talked about being very passionate about Macbeth. Um, Also, just some of the things that you said, they weren't even your general Greek mythology books. Okay, we're talking about a very studious person in Greek mythology. You didn't just spit out the basic things that most of everyone has heard of. So I think that that speaks volumes to the depths in which you studied your passion. You know what I mean? Have you ever read any of Julius Verne's books?
No, I actually haven't. Also, I wanted to say two things. So,
Please.
yeah, I wanted to touch on what you said earlier about how I brought that superhero out into the real world. I brought that superhero that we all have inside. That's what I try to focus on also with Chains of Olympus. I even mentioned this in the beginning, the very beginning of the book when you first read the introduction. Um, Everyone is their own hero in their own way. Some we may not realize it. Even in a dark, cruel world, you can still find the good in everything. You can find the good in everyone, and that's what Samuel does, no matter what's thrown at him. Even when I attempt to humanize his enemies, no matter how evil and vicious they are, and even the wrong they've done him, he still tries to set them free of the
Mhm.
evil that plagues everyone, no matter what
Absolutely.
happens. And he's on a mission to not only just free everyone of the evil in the world, but on a mission to free himself of
Himself.
all
Mhm.
his problems.
From the
And
strongholds of because that's what I like to say, that people do get strung out on struggling, and that's all aspects of struggle, not just financial, but family, all kinds of things. We do get strung out on struggle, and what happens to that superhero is it just becomes more
mhm,
suppressed. That
yeah,
one piece, but all it takes is a spark. And I think, like you said, I think that no matter how suppressed it gets, it exists, and there's a way to invoke it in each one of us. So I think that's the part that's gotten me so excited, because this dude, I mean, they came at this man any old kind of way. This And he wasn't a man; he was a 13-year-old boy. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But
they came at a
they
13-year-old
came
boy.
at him, and not to give too much of the context, because I don't like to get. I want the readers to read it, but
Mhm,
in the end, he also was his own demise as well at times. You know what I mean? And it's also, like you're saying, he wanted to set everybody free as well as setting himself free. But sometimes that's where things can get jaded, because you want to save the world, but haven't found the ability to save yourself yet. You know what I mean?
Exactly. In order to save the
When
world, you
you're
gotta save yourself
that's
first.
right. Exactly, and many scholars have said that. Many, and you know that this has been, we can date that so many ways back. We can even say Biggie Small said it too. So many people said it. In order to save the world or to change the world, you got to start with yourself. You know what I mean? So it can get very, when you're a very caring person and your intentions are high on freedom for the masses or for the whole, you too set
Yeah.
the world free. You still set the world free by setting yourself
Hmm.
free, because you are part of the whole. So I think that all of the different characters in here, they all still have a interconnection, you know, which I found very interesting. And it's all different issues, but they all still have an intercommon connection of the chaos. And no, like you said, also, no matter how evil they are, it still seems to me that they too want to be free.
Exactly.
You
No
know,
matter what,
they
they
want
also
to
still.
be free.
Yeah. I'm not trying to like. This is not leaking the content, by the way, but it's not leaking. This is something I can really say. Yeah. They. It does appear at first they are evil. They also want to be set free, and they also have their own ideas and their own perspectives how they feel they can be set free.
Hmm.
And one thing I focus on is perspective in the book.
Hmm.
Perspective. I try to focus on how it's told in different ways of how the characters see themselves in
Hmm.
third person omniscient, how the narrator explains how each character feels, what they're going through their minds behind their actions. So
And I think
that's
that
one.
that's very important, because you're all exactly, everyone everyone's reality is based off of their perception. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just their perception based off of
Yeah.
their experiences and their emotions and their realities, in other words. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I found less hard feelings. I grew to actually embrace all of the characters, and not really, I couldn't find that any of them were actually bad per se. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I
Well,
think,
I was I was curious.
yeah, I really couldn't. I mean, there's some, it's some evil things, but there's a story behind why there's an evil thing. Why, and again, the person that the evil thing is happening to, or the that's perception that they're receiving, and this person's perception of how they're putting that evil off onto people. And there's a
Mm-hmm.
why behind, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
getting to understand each of their perceptions, their emotions, and why they are the way that they are, gives you a better understanding. And it's
Mm-hmm.
still there's still that mustard seed that can change from evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I really, I think that so many people want to find the superhero in themselves, and this is definitely a an ignition to help to do that with people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And like I
Uh,
said, people of your age group, it's very difficult for you all. You got a lot of pressure. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
It's totally different from when it was. We had pressure, but not like you all. There wasn't a social media. There wasn't so much of a thing with followers or likes or these types of validations. You know what I mean? And being accepted and fitting in and different things like that. And it's just, along with everything else in the world, you've got that now too. So um, I really appreciate what you did with that. So now, as far as your writing process goes, what does your writing process look like? Now, you said it took you 5 months, seven
5 months
drafts,
to write it.
five
Mm-hmm.
months to write it, seven drafts. Now,
Oh, well, I mean, well, when I say the 7 drafts took me also 3 years. So I was writing the series, I was writing the draft at the same time.
got you. Now, what did your writing process look like? Did you dedicate a specific time each day? Was it more freestyle when you had time? Did you set a specific routine for yourself?
I'll say my writing habit or my writing process was a little bit. At first, it was really good, but when I did the 5 months of writing, it was horrible because it was more freestyling. I was trying to rush to get it, or trying to spend as much time as I can because I was so eager to publish it. I spent so much time sophomore year spending 5 months to write it, and I wasn't really overlooking it. So then, senior year or before school started, I decided to look over it again, read it, make the edits and revisions. I said to myself, like I should take more time. Um, and then yeah. So it was more freestyle. Before it was freestyling, I dedicated 3 hours to writing. So 1 hour was studying Greek mythology, and then the next 3 hours was the actual writing itself.
And
And
that's
this was my
every day?
routine. That was my routine during eighth grade, between eighth grade and which was during the whole pandemic, and ninth grade.
Okay.
So, and then after school, it was more shorter. It wasn't as much. It was more on the weekends. I would like start doing the writing and planning. I would do 1 hour Greek mythology, and then I would cut it down to just 2 hours doing the writing itself. So,
Okay. And what would you say some of the challenges that you faced were through your writing process and your publishing? Because if I'm not mistaken, you self-published through KDP. Is that correct?
yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. So what were some of the challenges that you faced with publishing, if any?
So one of the challenges I faced when I was writing the story and publishing, obviously, was setting up the account. I was a little bit struggling because I didn't have my own computer. I didn't have a lot of resources to really publish it and self-publish it itself. And my grandmother, she's very strict, so she didn't really understand a lot. So it wasn't until like as I got older, I was able to get around with just having to buy my own resources to do that. And one of my challenges during the pandemic, I'd say, was just isolation. It
Gotcha.
was more of an internal conflict. See, Chains of Olympus, most of the inspiration I drew was from the people around me too. The characters I built weren't just characters I built for myself. They were built around people who I care about a lot. And for example, this might sound a little insane, but for example, Gaia, who is one of the characters in the story, her personality or persona was kind of based around my grandmother. And I
Okay.
know that
I
sounds a
can see
little,
no, because they would have to know, or I, that's my aunt, so I could see that. I could see how that
yeah.
could relate, definitely, for sure.
Hmm.
Okay, okay.
And then the other side characters, I'm not, what's it called? Some of the characters, um, or the demigods Samuel's friends with, is close with, um, his girl best friend is extremely close to him. How mine is, who's always been there and supported me through everything. The guys, same with a few guys that I'm extremely close with, who I see as brothers, and then the other three female friends I have, I see as like sisters.
Hmm.
I keep those type of 8 people. Now, all we're not in the same group, but these are 8 people who all share an individual persona or trait that makes them them. That's why I want them in my life. While they're
And
such a
they're in
great
your
friend.
circle, absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely.
And I think,
Beautiful.
yeah, they're more of a reflection of what people should have in their life too. I made the Deuterogonist surrounded around the type of character that I think every person should have in their life and the type of friends you should truly look for. The person who's acts like the strong man that protects everyone, the smart one that puts himself first before everyone, the cunning one, the cunning, persuasive one that is able to see things that not everyone also sees, the one that supports everyone and lifts them up no matter how what they're going through, lifts them up and says, hey, we still got work to do. You can do this no matter what, even if the odds are stacked against them. And
Hmm.
that too. One thing I really focused on in Chains of Olympus was focusing on stacking the odds against my characters. Because keep in mind, they're mortal demigods. Yeah, they're humans with powers, but that's pretty much it.
Right,
They're going against immortal beings.
and they are still mortal.
Yeah, hellish beings that are in the power of a divine level. They're going against creatures and monsters and beings that are on just that have transcended the means of mortality. And there's little that they can truly do, or it's shown that they can really do. But in the story, we get to see how they use being human to their advantage, and
Hmm.
shows them why humans will always be the most dominant species out of anyone that comes our way. And so I try to also focus on the good light of humanity, even though humanity isn't always good. I
Right,
try to
right.
focus on what makes us so strong and powerful as humans.
Well,
And
that's interesting that because you were, that you kind of answered, one of the other questions in reference to circle of support, because it sounds like, well, your group of friends, even though they're not in the same circle, that you have a pretty tight knit circle with some
Mhm.
folks. Throughout your writing process and publishing this piece, how was that for you, your circle of support? Now it sounds like your family, I mean your friends, that those circle right there were pretty strong, and supportive. How about family and, other
It
people?
was it was high. It was high. I had a lot of support. Everyone supported me. They said writing a book. Oh, that's our author. They really
Excellent,
supported a lot, especially grandma and mom. They supported me the most, the most.
excellent.
My grandmother kept encouraging me to write, and
Well,
she would even sometimes read my stories. She was the
mhm,
first. She was my first. She was the first person who read my book actually. And she seen
abs-
all the drafts. She read it. She gave her own opinion. Gave the honest opinion, and it was all out of love. And she always just wanted to see me keep doing what I love and encouraged me a lot and kept
love it.
telling me even when I go to college, it doesn't matter what I major in. She wants me to do what I love. Because at the end of the day, I should die doing what I love.
Absolutely. And that's some real words, some powerful words. And words have the most power. For whatever comes from the tongue, it can cut or kill. And so many parents encourage their kids to go to college, and they are, wasting money on things that they don't have a passion for, that they're just going to get out here and get jobs. But to do what you love, you know what I mean? To
Yeah.
really, you will give your all to what you love, because then you're not just doing it for the money. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Grandma support means everything. And for an elder to put that on you, that means so much. You know what I mean? And so encouraging, because you'll always have that, no matter what part you are in life. 50 years from now, you will always know that voice, do what you love, grandson, do what you love.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that'll stay with you for the rest of your life. And I think that that's also a piece of arsenal to go into those superpowers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like you said, showing how humans are going to we will be able to overcome anything, even tokens and pieces of arsenal like what your grandmother gave you. Just those simple words are pieces of arsenal that go into the human pack for when we need to harness those types of superpower weapons. That's one of them, because that voice will never go away no matter what. You know what I mean? No matter
Mm-hmm.
how old you are, you will continue to strive for your passion, which is very important. So now that we've talked about your circle of support, the ups and downs to writing, now you've also, so a lot of the questions, one of the parts of the series is, I say, the personal jam, but you kind of listed that. When I say what's your jam, you just talk about the different books that you're reading right now and authors, and you've gone through that. What type of music do you listen to?
I listen to just mainly R&B. I
Okay.
really love R&B.
So we can still do it. That's my jam, because it's just a real quick first thing that comes to your mind. Favorite R&B artist.
uh Brent Fayez.
Say that again.
Uh, it's between Brent Fayez and Daniel Caesar.
Okay. Okay. All right. You reading any books right now?
I'm still reading Grendel by John Gardner.
Okay.
So
Okay. And Gardner's heavy. I mean,
yeah,
he's heavy.
he is a master at
Y'all hear
humanizing.
this man say that he is reading the John Gardner book, Brandles? I mean, he's 17 years old. That's a lot to be said there.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Now, as far as now I gotta ask you a question, because this happens. You said this in the beginning. I made sure to note it because I did not want to forget to come back to it. My grandson has a passion for dinosaurs. A lot of young men I knew did, and they seem to grow out of it. Now, I want to know, you and do you still have an innate love for the dinosaurs?
Of course, I still have a love for
That's
dinosaurs.
wonderful.
I don't mind maybe studying in college if there's some classes for that, or just study on my own. But paleontology wasn't really I thought of as I got older really where I wanted to be.
Right, right.
It
You find
didn't. Yeah. Yeah, I want to
I
leave
just
them in
wanted to
that
know,
light.
does it fade, or does it become kind of like a secondary because you found a deeper passion here, which is
Mm,
I just wonder because I noticed that a lot of young boys seem to have, and they seem so passionate until there's another thing. But I think we females, we have those passions too, as we're younger. I just, when you mentioned it in the beginning, I just want to ask him about the dinosaur because you're at a different stage in life. So most everyone, kind of fell out of it. You know what I mean? And we might
mm,
invest this whole dinosaur lifestyle based off of the passion, and it kind of, they grow out of it. So I was just wondering. All
yeah.
right, all right. Well, what kind of words of guidance, as it applies to writing and publishing, could you give the audience?
Guidance. First off, I'll say just keep writing. When I mean keep writing, I don't mean that just to sound cliche or to sound vague, as in just write to write. I say keep writing. No matter what, there's always going to be someone out there that loves your writing, that's going to see your writing in a different view and aspect that you don't see. One of the biggest things, or my biggest flaws, was I hated my writing, and I mean I hated for my writing for a long time. I hated my writing, and even now I'm still a little. But hearing how everybody else used my writing and seeing and giving me feedback on how much they love it, I realized it's all about perspective at the end of the day. Keep writing no matter what happens. Okay. Number two, believe in yourself more than anyone. It doesn't matter how many people support you. At the end of the day, it's about your opinion that matters. Okay. It doesn't matter if this person likes your book or if this person doesn't like it. Well, it does matter because like sell your books, but at the end of the day, you should care about how you feel yourself. If you gotta believe in yourself and say, "Hey, I can make it out here," you need to set a goal, and that too, you need to set a goal. One thing I think all writers should do before you start planning, you should set a goal. Before you start writing the series, set a goal. Before you write the book or anything, set a goal. You should say, I'm expecting to become a best-selling author by this point. I want to sell this many copies by this point. Okay, my assistant principal, one of the biggest things he taught me was a goal is a structured plan. So you got to structure your plan to reach that goal. So if you want to be a best-selling author, okay, start structuring that plan. Say, okay, what can I do to become a best-selling author? How many copies should I sell? What should I do to reach my books out to a larger audience? And this is something I've been planning out for a while. That's why I haven't really made a presence because I'm still planning how I'm going to do it. Number three, um, who is my target audience? Who's my target market? Who is going to love this book? Who is this focused and centered around? And then another piece of advice I give all young authors or any authors at any level, honestly, is just make your writing humanize your own life. You want to make your book as realistic as possible. The biggest tip I learned was two things. Two things I focused in my writing and all the other writings I've done. Visualization. You should make sure that when you're writing it, you should allow and write it in such a way that your reader is able to literally visualize and see the scene itself. And that's what I've tried to focus on, of the art of showing and not telling. Instead of saying, let's give an example. The man was cold. Describe how he was cold. Say the man, his body temperature was low. He was shivering. He couldn't feel his lungs had no his lungs were dry. For example, you
Mhm.
want to show it, not tell it. Okay. And then
Gotcha.
number two, make the story as realistic and relatable as possible. The more closer, no matter even if it's fiction or fantasy, if you there's a line, and that line is reality and fantasy. And if you can get your fantasy to draw towards the line of reality as close as it can be, the story will be 10 times much better. And I mean that as if you can make it sound as realistic as possible. Humanize your characters, humanize anything, even supernatural beings. Humanize them to the point where you basically feel like they're a human themselves. Give
Hmm.
them human emotions, human perspective, understanding, and intellect. Not keep them vague and focus only on just ideals. Focus on also how they grow as a character. Okay, you have to blend the lines of reality and fantasy as much as you can. And that is not even a tip I learned from anyone. That's something I discovered myself was that line between fantasy and reality, make it as close to reality as possible.
Wow.
That's what I try to do. So
I have to say, young man, this has been a very, 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 very wonderful episode. I'm sure you all will agree. Our moderator, thank you. Shout out to the moderator. I'm
thank you.
sure that so many that view this will agree that you are very, very rare gem. You know what I mean? And I think that the more you show yourself out there, the more young folks will feel comfortable in opening up, because I'm sure there are plenty others out there that
Mhm.
they have this fear of being judged. Well, you are so right, so inspirational. um and I think, I hope you just keep doing what you're doing. What I'm going to do right now is I want to make sure that I put this up on the screen so that folks will know how to purchase your book. um
Thanks so much.
and
And
this
thank you,
is
Miss Lay. Thank you so much. Thank
Yes,
you.
I mean, this has been really a treat for us tonight. And like I said, it's not taken away from all the other authors we've had. Everyone's been wonderful, but this is a rare, rare thing that we get. We barely get anyone in this age group, and with this, just the character that you have. And I think that it's very inspiring for other writers. I've had lots of folks reach out to me to say that they're inspired to write, and I tell them the same thing: just write your story, whatever genre it is, whether it's poetry, whether it's a reality, a memoir, fiction, whatever it is, and you want to write, it's nothing to put the pens to the pages, and I encourage people, if it's not your passion and you just want to I write letters to myself. I had a lady on here inspire me to write letters to future generations, and I've been doing that, and it's been very humbling to do that, and
Mhm.
um, I've always written letters to my future self, my past self, and things like that, my daughter. But writing has been a passion for as long as I can remember, which is why we here in the Creative Cradle, we are trying to build a community for authors who have a passion. There's no whatever process you're in, whether you're published, whether you want to publish, whether you are, whatever process you are in, we encourage to be a part of this community so that we can support each other and make sure that we are promoting each other and getting the word out there, because I think that a lot of people believe that books are becoming obsolete with all the technology and electronics, but I don't believe so. I love to have a book in my hand. I like to touch
Mhm.
it. I want to flip through the pages, and I think
Same.
I just my as I've been doing these shows here, I will order books on Kindle so that I can read it right away. But I still order the hardback because I need it. I have to touch it. I
Yeah.
want to feel the pages, and it's just something. Even when I wrote my first book, I literally wrote it in journals with pen and paper. I never put it on computer until somebody said to me one day, "You don't have any of your journals backed up," and I'm like, "No, no." And I slowly started to do that. I still have a long ways to go with uploading and backing up. The best thing that I could do was get a firebox, and I did do that, so that if anything ever happens, at least they're there. But it's a process, and I'm so old school. It's something about feeling the pen in my hand on the paper. You know what I mean? um, just like reading a book. And I think that what you have here is going to do magnificent things. I think
Thank
that
you.
for this to be your beginning, we have a long way to go, little cousin. And I'm not even going to call you a little cousin. You are my young cousin, but you are a young man. And I am
Thank you.
so in awe, and I cannot wait to see what you have for the future. Yes, there's a question out there that says, "Do you have more books in the works?" Yes, this is an entire series. This is a novel series. This is the first. And how many are part of this series?
8.
Eight. So there are
And that's
eight.
just part one of the series. That's just part one of the
This is
series.
just part one of the series. So when you're thinking, people think in terms of what we watch. For instance, let's just use the Avengers as an example.
Mhm.
The Avengers, the characters, they continue and have different, you know, issues. So what he's creating in this first series is he's getting us familiar with the starter characters. He's also getting us familiar with the world that he's building. So
Exactly.
it's not something that in the end, it's not enough for you, which is why it says to be continued in the end. But you don't want, you can't finish. It's just like, I need to know what, then what, you know what I mean? So it's one of those types of things that I don't even know how it could end. It's just going to be, in fact, if ever it does come to an end, we'll probably all be upset that it's over whenever that day comes, because there's a
Hmm.
lot that can happen. Think of what is it? Game of Thrones. It's not. I'm not. It's not like that, but it's when you think about a universe with different things going on. There's so much to uncover.
Unwind.
There's a lot of different things still to come. This is just the beginning. And mind you, he's just 13. Samuel's just 13. This is just the beginning of things starting to happen that, first of all, didn't even know that it really was a reality until it was. So this is just setting the tone for us to see what's to come. It's amazing. I'm already waiting for the next one. So
Thank you.
definitely he has more books to come, and I'm sure even outside of the series of this, he's got other projects also. But I think that you're going to be a long renowned author, and we've got a lot to come, not only with this, but with many more things to come. And we'll definitely be here in support of it, and definitely like to get you back on here, uh, come the second one, because by then most will have read the first one and they're going to be ready for the second one. They're going to be ready. So let us know if you have any events coming up. We'll certainly put them in the cradle, the Creative Cradles page, to let people know where to find you. Again, the link is there. That's at the bottom of the screen to purchase the book. It's on Amazon. You can get that. Make sure you go and purchase the copy. It will not be a waste of time. It is absolutely amazing. I had to get it twice because I got it so that I could read it, and then I ordered my paperback so that I could have the actual physical copy. But I'll be excited to see what's to come, everybody, and I'm sure you will too once you open the pages. Well, Jeremiah, it has been wonderful. Nothing short. I don't even want to let you go. It's been so good.
Thank you.
But
Actually, after this, I actually wanted to call you separately and ask you some more questions.
okay,
So
okay. Well, we can stay
yeah.
on here. Once we get off, we can talk a little longer and everything.
Hmm.
But everybody, again, go get his book. Make sure you get it. You won't be sorry. And we will certainly reshare the lives. It's on YouTube, it's on Facebook. And you all can also find Jeremiah Huggins. Just look him up on Facebook. You'll be able to find him on Instagram, follow him on his platforms, and go and support him. As you all can see, you won't be sorry doing so. So it's been a pleasure again. I appreciate everything, and I look forward to see what you have coming in the future.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Lippy. Thank you.
All right.
It's
All
been an
right.
honor being here. It has been an honor, you and Miss Lay helping me and coming here and have me talk about it. It is an extreme honor to have an audience to talk to and explain my series and my book, what's to come, what I went through as making it, and allowing my voice to be heard. Thank you so much.
All right. Glad you honor for us having you here to be able to give you that voice. And we'll definitely continue to support and build you up. Have a good night, everybody, and thank you for joining.